In this presentation, we're going to record the purchase of raw materials that will then be used on particular jobs. We're going to be purchasing them on account, in other words, not paying cash, but recording them to accounts payable within QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Pro. Here we are in our practice problem 1, job cost tracking, work in process. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by selecting the view dropdown and the open windows list. So now we're going to be first taking a look at how we would do this with debits and credits. This would be a fairly straightforward type of transaction with debits and credits, and then we'll apply it to the job. We want to do this to be as transparent as possible. Excel is almost basically paper and pencil because you can see all the connections. So that's why we're going to do it in this format and then see what QuickBooks is doing kind of behind the scenes when we enter data into it. So this is going to happen on 1/1. According to our data, we're going to purchase the raw materials. Now, note that if you're purchasing raw materials for a job, if you're on like a just-in-time type of system, if you're saying, hey, I'm going to go do this particular job, I need tile for it, I need cement, I need this and that, you're going to purchase it and then go right to that job and purchase just the materials you need for it, then you may just record it directly to the job. Here, we're going to be tracking it in inventory first, putting it into an asset type of account, and then assigning it to the job. Now, what we will not be doing within QuickBooks is tracking individual inventory units. In other words, we're not going to be assigning an average cost method. We will take a look at that process in a future presentation. Just note it's a little kind of tricky when you do that the way we have the system set up now, as we will be posting things to work in process. So what we're going to say then is we're not going to assign the materials directly to the job at the time of purchase, but put them into a raw materials. However, we're not using QuickBooks to track the units of raw materials, and therefore we will in some way have to determine how much of the raw materials have been consumed and used up and applied to a job. We'll see how that will look in terms of transactions in a future as we go through the problem here. So we're going to say that the debit then is going to go to an asset account, not to a job yet. Then the other side is going to be going not to cash because we didn't pay cash. We put it into a liability, that being accounts payable. The amount is going to be for the $400,000. That'll be the debit and the credit. What this will look like on the financials then is we're going to say that the accounts receivable here is going to be going up by the $400,000. The other side, being raw materials, is going to go up by the $400,000. Now, I know I'm posting this pretty quickly because our focus really isn't Excel. It's just basically to see Excel and see this is our beginning balances. Here's our ending balances. We're still in balance. No effect on net income. There's no effect on the jobs because we haven't assigned this raw materials to a job yet. Once we do, it'll be moved from here to work in progress. So no big difficulty here then because we're not really assigning a job yet. We're simply going to enter a bill to do that same transaction here. We're going to say, let's enter a bill. And then we're going to say the bill means that accounts payable will be going up. That's what a bill means. We're going to assign a vendor. I'm going to say we bought the materials from Home Depot, which is basically, I'm just going to put everything to Home Depot here. And then that's going to be for the 12/31. And we actually want this on the books as of the current year, so 01/01/2020. And then the amount is going to be for the $400,000. And note that we're not going to be using an item here. We're just going to simply put it to the expense tab, which actually won't be an expense either, but the asset account. And the asset account we want is the raw materials inventory account. So we don't have raw materials inventory set up. I'm going to go ahead and type that in here. Raw materials inventory. I'm going to say tab, set that up. It's not going to be an expense, but other current assets type of account, other current asset, and we're going to say continue. Now, don't let that term inventory throw you off because that might make you think that we should be tracking units of inventory, which you could do, but we're not going to do it here. We'll take a look at that mechanism for doing that later. We're just going to simply put the amount in the other current asset as this amount here. So we're going to track supplies, and then we're going to have our own method for determining when those supplies have been used. And we'll see that later. We're going to say save and close, and save and close. Then let's take a look at our financial statements. I'm going to select the reports drop down. I'm going to use the balance sheet for a while and the income statement. Then I'm going to switch over to that trial balance, which is an easier one to see. So if we look at the balance sheet as of 12/31/20, here's what we have. There's our checking account. There's the raw materials on the books at the $400,000. Double clicking on it, then we're going to say if we change the dates from 01/01/20, there's our transaction. It is a bill. Double clicking on it, there it is. Closing it back out, closing this back out. The other side, of course, should be in the accounts payable. There's the accounts payable. Double clicking on it. The other side, or changing the dates from 01/01/20. Then we get, there's our transaction. Closing this back out. We want to get used to checking these numbers with the trial balance. So we'll go into the reports drop down, looking at the accounting and taxes and the trial balance, changing the dates up top from 01/01/20 to 12/31/20. There is our trial balance. There's our materials. There's our accounts payable.